So we're all using AI, right? It drafts our emails, it cooks up images, it answers our most random questions. But what happens when you use one of those public AI tools to get ready for the fight of your life? A federal court case? Well, the answer, it might actually shock you. So let's dive into a court case that's become a huge warning for anyone using AI.
Okay, so we're going to break down a landmark court ruling that serves as a massive warning shot for, well, pretty much everyone, from a single person to a massive company, that's relying on public AI for sensitive stuff. It's a story about how a move that seemed so smart just blew up in the worst possible way.
And boom, there it is, the absolute heart of the problem. In what was a first-of-its-kind decision, a federal judge straight up declared that your conversations with a public AI chatbot are not protected by attorney-client privilege. What does that mean? It means everything you typed can be seized, read by the other side, and, yeah, used against you in court.
So how in the world did we get here? Okay, so let's rewind a bit. It all starts in late 2025. A guy named Bradley Heppner gets indicted on some really serious fraud charges. Now, in a move that probably felt pretty proactive, he starts using a public AI tool to help prepare his defense. But, and this is the killer mistake, when federal agents search his property, they don't just find his documents, they grab the entire chat history with the AI. By February 2026, the judge drops the hammer. He rules that all of it, every single chat, is fair game for the prosecution.
I mean, a guy trying to prepare his own defense? That makes sense, right? So what was the problem? Why did the court come down so hard on this?
Well, the judge's logic was actually super clear. It really boiled down to three key things. First off, the AI, it's not a lawyer. Simple as that. There's no real trusting human relationship there. Second, and this is the big one, there was zero confidentiality. By using a public tool, Heppner was basically telling his entire defense strategy to a third party, the AI company. And you better believe their terms of service let them collect and use that data. And finally, this wasn't what you'd call work product, because his lawyers never told him to do it. He was just doing it all on his own.
Okay, but here's where this story gets really interesting. Because while this whole thing looks like a legal tech problem on the surface, it's really just a symptom of a much, much bigger problem that honestly almost every big company is dealing with right now. It's not just about the AI, it's about the data we're feeding it.
And that problem, it has a name. We call it untrusted data. Just think about it. It's all that digital junk hiding in the corners of a company, chaotic file shares, ancient SharePoint sites, and tons of files that are redundant, obsolete, or trivial, what we call ROT. It's the data you have, but you can't confidently use for anything important, especially not AI. For Bradley Heppner, that untrusted data wasn't just a strategic problem, it was a personal disaster.
So you've got this fork in the road, right? On one side, you have total chaos, untrusted data, and that's going to give you a risky, unreliable AI whose answers you just can't trust. But on the other side, that's where you find what you actually need, AI-ready smart data. This is data that's organized, it's governed, and it's defensible. It's the difference between an AI that's a liability and an AI that's a genuine trusted asset.
So how do we get from that chaos to some kind of clarity? Well, the solution isn't some shiny, newfangled tech nobody's ever heard of. Nope. It's actually about taking a discipline that's been battle-tested for decades in the super high-stakes world of law and applying it to this new AI challenge.
Yeah, this quote absolutely nails it. Think about it. For years, legal teams have known you can't just throw raw data at a problem. You have to collect it properly, you have to preserve it, you have to structure it. That very same discipline is exactly what's needed to make enterprise AI actually work. You got to treat your data like it's evidence in a courtroom.
So that leads us right to this idea of an architecture of trust. I mean, how do you really truly build a foundation that fixes this whole untrusted data mess and makes your AI safe, effective, and defensible?
Well, it really breaks down into a pretty straightforward three-step process. First, you refine. You take all that raw chaos and you turn it into clean, curated collections that follow your policies. Second, you control. You create a secure layer, a control plane that governs exactly how the AI is allowed to interact with that data. And finally, you activate it. You safely plug that trusted intelligence into powerful tools like Microsoft Copilot.
And this is kind of what it looks like in the real world. It's all about finding that balance. See, you're not trying to choke the power of AI. You're building a smart, defensible framework around it, making sure that all that power is guided by the core principles of security, compliance, and legal integrity.
And you know, this really demands a whole new way of thinking about your data architecture. The old way, what we call the data swamp, was just copy everything into one giant pile and, I don't know, hope for the best? This led to huge costs, tons of risk, and just massive storage bloat. But the new way, the smarter way, is to build what we call an intelligent surface. Instead of physically moving all that junk, you use this cool technique called data mirroring. Basically, you're just creating secure virtual pointers to the good stuff, the high-value data, and you just leave all that junk, the ROT, behind. It's cheaper, it's safer, and it's way more effective.
Okay, so let's bring this all back down to earth. What's the real-world impact here? What does this actually mean for the millions of companies out there who are already deep in the Microsoft ecosystem?
Just take a look at how this plays out across the big Microsoft tools. With M365 Copilot, if you feed it untrusted data, what do you get? Hallucinations and scary data leaks. But with smart data, you get answers you can actually trust and defend. For Microsoft Fabric, you go from paying a huge compute tax on bloated storage to enjoying lower costs and getting really precise analytics. And for Microsoft Purview, you go from having weak governance signals to having strong, effective governance that actually does its job.
So here's the bottom line, the big takeaway. This isn't just about playing defense and avoiding risk. It's about completely flipping the script on AI. It's about moving away from those endless, stalled pilot projects and AI tools that just feel like a money pit, and moving toward a real, scaled transformation where AI is actively creating measurable value for your business.
And that really leaves us with one last, and I think pretty critical question you have to ask yourself. So after seeing just how badly things can go wrong, but also how to make them right, you've really got to ask, look at your own organization. Right now, is your data an AI asset, or is it just a ticking time bomb, an AI liability waiting to go off?